Welcome back to a brand new coffee tech break with Jan. Good to see you back on my channel again. Hopefully you got a coffee with you because I think I got another great update. So today I want to take you through version 3.11, as you can see. I think another great update, not like a huge one, but there are some very nice features which I wanted to walk through. But first, so the 3.11 will be supported on X30, X50, the premium one, the X70, very popular at the moment, and the G7500. And so there's across the Studio X line, and we got 3.11 available. There's an update on most of the applications, but I will walk that through in this video. Now, how do I do that then? As usual, I'm just gonna jump in my computer and walk you through that presentation. Let's get started. So first, take a cup of coffee, sit back, relax, and let me walk you through this update. So there's always, with every new release, we ask the different video providers if there are any application updates to those different video providers that we have. Now, what is important with one of the recent releases, we separated the application from the StudioX software. So you always have the ability that in case we release 3.11 and, for example, the Teams app got an update, you can separately always update the application from, for example, Teams Admin Center. But I will show you and walk you through that procedure a little bit later, because I think that is always very, very important. First off, the upgrade and downgrade procedure. Now, upgrade and downgrade, because you never know. If you upgrade, and it could be that in a specific custom environment there you run into some issues, you always should have the ability to downgrade. But let me walk you through those different options on the Studio X and G7500. So first off, the web interface. So if you look in the Studio X web interface, as soon as there is an update, it will automatically prompt you for that update. Now, what is important that if you ticked one of those settings right here, where it says automatic updates or only check for updates during maintenance hours, you need to be aware that those updates are happening automatically. And sometimes you're not even aware that the system is updating. So I usually put this under the discussion, like, do you want to do it automatically? Because if you come in the morning in the office, you want to make sure that everything is functional, even after an update. You don't know exactly the impact on a different customer environment. So I usually just recommend to turn it off if you just have a couple of devices and just do that manually. You just make sure that the upgrade went fine. Now, the next possible upgrade option, if you don't have any internet connectivity, is using a USB stick. So the USB stick, what you need to do is you download the software from the support website. It's a zipped file, and you need to unzip that on the root of a USB stick. So you got that whole folder structure on that stick. Now you put that into Studio X, and then you can upgrade it to a different version. And so I think if you don't have internet connectivity or you want to quickly just upgrade to the latest version, that's a great possibility for the engineer being on the location. Now, one of the newer ones is Poly Lens, and one of the centralized ones. So if you got like 10 plus Studio X devices, it makes sense to use Poly Lens. In PolyLens, you got some abilities, and I will also create a video later on with some additional new features from the Poly Plus side there, where you can also have alerting if there are new versions, so you automatically get alerts. When a device is not functioning, you get an alert. So there's different like services now available where you can get some additional functionality in PolyLens. Now, what you will see in PolyLens, the same thing. If there is an update, it will automatically prompt you for those updates. Same thing, you could automatically install those updates at night. That is a possibility. Again, I would recommend to just be aware that you're running an update. So if you're turning this on, be aware that you're going to do the update. And I would say just do a specific group. So in PolyLens, you have the ability to create different groups, which I will show in a bit. Another functionality in PolyLens that, let's say you upgrade to 3.11 and there is an issue, you got the possibility to downgrade to different versions. So there's always possibility to go down if needed. I think that is a great opportunity because, as I said, every customer environment is different. So you can go up and you can go down, and it will also automatically take the TC8 with that upgrade or downgrade. So make sure that it is always paired with your StudioX. Now, as I said, in the lens, you can also create groups. So here you could create a specific group where you could upgrade devices. Just first test them out, 2 weeks, 1 or 2 weeks, and if it fits the environment, you can upgrade the rest of the devices. Also available now in the Poly Lens. Now also they changed policies, really nice. So you have policies based on a model. So if a device automatically comes into PolyLens by using those different DHCP options. So when you boot it up, your device in your corporate network, it could automatically be added to PolyLens. Then you could, based on a specific model, you could create a policy. You can do the same thing for a specific group or a specific site, and a site means based on a location now, on the IP address, or you could also create policies on the individual device. And that has the highest priority. So it goes from model, which is the latest priority, up to an individual device, which is the highest priority. I think really powerful. So if you haven't checked on in Lens, I would really recommend to just watch those new features and functions available there. Now, what also recently has been added is the options under groups to reboot devices. But again, also to be aware of it. So you need to press this reboot button manually. So if you need to reboot a couple of devices in the morning, you have the possibility to do that. So that is available by using groups. Just good to know. Now, what I mentioned earlier, in the latest releases, we added the possibility to upgrade the APK separately, and the software applications on StudioX and the TC8. So if there is an update, for example, as you see here through Teams Admin Center, you would have the ability to upgrade the StudioX and also to upgrade the TC8 application. So make sure you always upgrade both of them so that the software is in sync. Same is for Zoom. For Zoom device management, you can also run that upgrade for both StudioX and the TC8. And that means that you can always separately upgrade those applications. Now, if you downgrade in software, the application will stay the latest. That's very important. But I will show you a bit later. If you need to fall back to an earlier application, there is like an option, a sort of tips and tricks, and I will show you that to make sure that if you need to turn back to the previous application, that is possible. But you do that through a system reset, which I will show you a bit later. Now, using 3.11, what is very important. So with 3.11, we got several updates coming with it. So we got the TC8 3.11, we got the Poly microphone IP adapter 3.0, we got the IP table microphone 3.0, the Cube version 1.3.1, and also included with 3.11 is the E70 camera, as you see right here, version 1.4. So if you roll this out, you will be able to find the 3.11 on all those devices. And for example, on the G7500, it will automatically push out the 1.4 to your E70. And I think that's very important. And also don't forget that the X70 is not supported with earlier releases than the 3.7.1. So you're never able to go back earlier than that. I mean, that shouldn't be needed, but just be aware that if you ever go back in software, that the X70 is not possible to go earlier than that. Now, what is also important, if you have, for example, an Teams room system, an MTR Windows, how do you update then the E70? You need to install the Lens application. So the Lens application, you go from the Windows, you go to the administration interface, you can install the Lens app there. And here, if you then have the camera connected, here it should automatically detect the camera, and you can find that 1.4 release. You click on update and you're able to push that out. Very important, just to make sure. 1.4 is a sort of maintenance release, so I would recommend to upgrade to that latest version. The other, which I think was good to mention, is also the audio service software has been updated. So on the Poly support website, under the devices, you will find here the Poly audio service software, which is running now the 2.1 release. And that means specifically for speaker tracking, I think that's very important. With speaker tracking, so I mean you have it integrated maybe with Shure or Biamp QsC, with any of those third-party DSPs. You got a presenter there who is walking around. We got the E70. Now, to avoid the camera listening to the far end audio, we got that audio service file. I think that's very important. So the camera has some microphones in here, and by using this audio service file, it will avoid the camera listen to those speakers from those different devices in the room. I think that's very important. The same thing is for the Sync family, Sync 40, 660, which you can use with the MTR Windows. For example, the Trio or the Trio Daisy Chain. You need to install this audio service software file to make sure you have that optimal tracking in the room and to avoid that tracking that far end audio. So this is available on the support website now. So let me quickly show you where you can find this file. So you go to support.poly.com, you go to the products, then you will find here the different products. And I think it's really nice. They just recently updated the website. And I think it's very, very easy now to navigate to the different products. So you'll find here the option video conferencing. Here you'll find different cameras, also the E70. Now, under the E70, that's, I think, very nice to know. You got here your product notes. We got here knowledge base, where you got some really nice videos and the release notes. We got guides and manuals. And here you can find all the different mounting options. But one that I wanted to mention, let me try to make it a bit bigger, is here the new room preparation guide. Really nice. So you'll find that also here on the guides and manuals, which is about the height, the lighting, the room integration, etc. So really nice. It's a room preparation guide. It's useful for not only Studio E70, but also for Studio X series, microphone range with the G7500. It's a very nice guide to get started. So this is the room preparation guide. Now, under software releases, here you will find that latest release of the Poly audio service software, the 2.1 release. So here you can download that file and install that on your MTR Windows. I hope that helps to navigate around. I just wanted to mention that as the 1.4 for E70 is part of that 3.11 release, I thought it was always good to navigate around there. What is happening more in the 3.11? And now it's more specifically to the application. And first off, we're going to dive in the MTR Android, the MTRoA. What is new there? There's not really a lot of new things. So we have still the same application in here. So that is the 1305. That is the APK, which was also part of the 3.10, which is also part of the 3.11. Now, what is good to know, if you got that APK running, no problem. But always good to know that Microsoft probably soon will come with a new APK, the APK number 2 in 2022. Now you always have the ability to update it through Teams Admin Center. So I think that's always good to know. And make sure, as I said earlier, that you update your room device, as you see here, your StudioX, but also your touch console. The TC8 is specifically under the touch console. So I would expect soon that Microsoft will bring out the Teams update too. Yeah, it's just a matter of keeping an eye, of course, on my YouTube channel, but also on Teams Admin Center. Will probably show you there soon a new update. Now, what is going on with the 3.11? So as I said, it's a sort of maintenance release, but we got some things fixed also in this release, and specifically on the inverted mounting. And so the UI was reversed when you changed the X30, for example. When you changed that in an inverted mounting, what was happening is that the content was changed. And so now in this release, they fixed that. So now you got, if you have an inverted mounted X30, that's mostly because then you hide the cables behind the screen. If you got that mounted that way, you have now the content correctly showing on the interface. So that was noted and being fixed. Also, they changed something in the interval with Intune, so that was also fixed in this release, specifically with the TCA, to make sure that it's continuously in sync with Intune. Now, and as I said, I would expect soon via Teams Admin Center the new application. I call it Update 2. I don't know the exact numbers there, but it's usually for me the easiest. Like last year, we ended up with Update 4 somewhere, and this year we just started counting. In January we had Teams Update 1. But as I said, I will keep you updated on my channel. We'll push it out through the community update or something to make sure you are aware when those updates are available. Now, also good to know is the G7500. So G7500 is still in that Teams preview. So it won't show up in Teams Admin Center as it's not officially supported yet. It's still in that preview phase, so it's being tested. It's part of a tab, and that is important. So it was delayed because we're gonna support also the E70 camera. So besides the HDCI cameras with the certification, we also want to make sure that you got the E70 camera, very popular camera at the moment. Have that available. So yeah, this is why there were some delays, but hopefully we will get that certification soon. If you want to test that, so version 3.9 is the one which you can use, and that contains the Teams app version, as you see here, the 2201, and that is the one that works best. So if you upgrade above the 3.9, it could be that the pairing is not working or any other issues you could have, as this is the one which has been tested and working. If you now, for example, using it, you can use it in the preview mode with the HDCI cameras. So you won't be able to use it in this release with the E70 yet. That's very important. The USB ports are still disabled. So that will come after certification. Then you were able to use also the USB camera option. So just be aware of that. HDCI, and I would expect also the other options, the regular options that we have. So customers, especially coming from a group series, I think that's an important one. Yeah, those customers can just reuse their group series with the G7500, just reuse their Eagle i4 camera, hook that up to the G7500, change that codec to Teams, and suddenly you got that native Teams environment running in your room. So I had some customers already who upgraded or tried to upgrade to 3.10 or maybe even to 3.11. Of course, that is possible. But if you do that, it will upgrade also the Teams app and your G7500 gets broken. Now, if that is happening, what is important? Go back to 3.9 using a USB stick or using PolyLens. I usually use PolyLens. That's very easy, just with the drop-down menu, which I showed you earlier. You put the G7500 back into 3.9. Then you need to go to Reset System Configuration. So under Diagnostics, you'll find Reset System Configuration. You untick all the boxes. This will revert you back. So in procedure, what you see here, Reset System Configuration, this will revert back also the Teams app to that initial release. And I have here like an URL, which I also will put in the comments. So I have here in the URL that if you need to go back to that version using a custom URL, so you cannot use PolyLens, for example, I will have here a link for you where you can always download to that latest 3.9 release with your G7500 if needed. And so you always have that fallback scenario. All right, the next application. And so what more do we have? Zoom rooms also being busy, and Zoom is also being very busy creating some really exciting new functionalities and features. So important, with 3.11 we got the APK 594. So that's the same APK which was coming with 3.10. And so I think that's very important. Nothing is happening with this release with the Zoom application. What is coming with the 3.11 is the Zoom Device Management 2.0 and the Zoom API 1.7. So this is the API integration with the environment. Now, if you have that 594 running, no problem. As I told you earlier, with Teams, it's the same thing. Now, in Zoom Device Management, we have at the moment the 5, as we speak, the 5.9.10. So there is already a new version. Now, through the Zoom Device Management, it's just a matter of logging in there. You click on the upgrade, you click on the upgrade for the TC8. Again, if you do the StudioX, you do also the TC8 to make sure that it is aligned. And that will make sure that you got that latest release running on the StudioX. I tested it out, and not only on the StudioX, but also on the G7500, and that works perfect. And then you can test out all those latest and greatest features. What was part of those new releases? First off is, I think, that smart gallery, which we call multi-view today. The ability with G7500 and E70 or the Studio X70 to just pick out the participants in the room, as you see right here. So it's able to pick out 2 participants and 1 active speaker, so 3 participants in total, and put them into the gallery. I think that's a really nice functionality. If you haven't seen one of my earlier videos about that, I would say just check out that video right here. All right, the 5.9.10. Exciting release, really exciting release. I've been playing around with that new functionality last week in the office. First off, multiple camera support. Yes, multiple camera support. So that means in the meeting, you can hook up multiple cameras, for example, 3 E70s or 2 E70s and an Eagle Director, or 2 E70s and Eagle Producer, or an Eagle i4 as a fixed camera, but you can have 3 cameras which are supported on the G7500 and put those 3 streams, those video streams, the same time in the meeting. So I've been playing around with that in the office last week, and it is really, really, really nice. So you get that different views of the meeting room at the same time. And you can pin those different cameras, and I think in the educational market, in flexible meeting rooms, etc. I think this feature is really powerful. Multiple cameras. So there is a feature which you can enable in the device management on Zoom, which I will show you a bit later. So here you can tick in the box, you enable it, and then you got your default camera, and then you have additional 2 cameras which you can enable. And as again, you put them at the same time in the meeting. So it's not like you need to switch between the different cameras. No, you got really those 3 streams at the same time in a Zoom meeting. Really powerful, which is, I think that was already available on Windows. And now we have that also available on a Zoom Room on Android, specifically on the G7500. Another feature which has been added is the Airplay support. So this is the Airplay support within the Zoom app. I think that's very important. So this doesn't use the Airplay support. Well, it probably does use the hardware in StudioX, but it doesn't use the functionality, the software functionality on the StudioX. This is purely the Airplay support which Zoom has built into their application. Really nice. Again, you can enable that through the Zoom device management. There's a tick in the box, and also you can start the mirroring service automatically or manually if you want that. And manually means that you need to go onto the touch panel, the Zoom touch panel, and as soon as you start sharing, it will then offer you the ability to start sharing using the Airplay. Now, as usual, I want to show you things. So let me show you where you can enable all these type of functionality and walk you a bit through this. Here you go. So here we are in the Zoom device management portal. So here you can set all the different configuration for your Zoom Room devices. Now, first, what I want to show you is where you can enable those multiple cameras. Well, you'll find that under the Zoom Room device that you have configured and set up. You go here to devices. You go then a little bit down. Let me make it a little bit bigger. So first off, you find the option here for your default camera mode, and that is as soon as somebody joins a meeting, you can set different preferred tracking option. And on the other end, a little bit below, you see the allow multi-camera mode. And so this is now available also to use on the G7500. So you got 3 cameras, so your default camera, and you can add an additional 2 cameras into the meeting at the same time. Really powerful. So here is that setting. Now, the other setting, what I want to show you, and we go back here under meetings, is the Airplay functionality. And so you can use that automatically. So that is enabled right now. So if you tick this on, you will have it available right away. So devices, Airplay devices, so an iPhone or an iPad, and they just walk into the meeting and they can start sharing. So the other option is start a screen mirroring service manually. And that means it will only start sharing if you enable that specifically in the meeting room. So let me show you how that looks like. All right, so here I have an iPad. I just want to show you quickly. So the Airplay is enabled. I installed the latest 5.3.10 application from the Zoom device management, TC8, and on the StudioX. Now, if you then turn on the Airplay service, and it's now automatically, so it's always listening for your Airplay device. So let me show you that quickly. It's pointing me for a code. So I put here now on this StudioX device using the Apple Airplay, just with your iPhone or with an iPad. And yeah, what I can do is I can easily start, for example, start some annotation here very nicely. So look at under the shoes, or we need to look at the branding. So there's some really nice things which you can do from the Apple AirPlay side, and you can easily share. So I already see a lot of use cases possible and very flexible in the meeting room. So it's always listening now, and that's very important. So let me stop sharing here. We stop sharing also here. Now, what I want to show you also is if I now put it into the manual mode, what you will see is that it will not be visible looking at the control center. So let me now turn on the manual mode. So I go back into the Zoom device management, and now I turn on the start Apple screen service manually, and to make sure that I just need to make sure that I want to enable it. Now, let me go back into the iPad. All right, let me show you this, the menu procedure from the Zoom Room meeting room. I think that is a very nice one. So the service is now manually. So let me show you that. As you can see right here, it doesn't find anything here, just looking for devices. So it's not available. Now, as I will be pressing here on the start sharing, and I will be pressing, as you will look on the TC8, you got here the option that you can point here specifically and enable this for iPhone and iPad. So if I do that now, watch what will happen. Click on that. Now, all of a sudden, you see that StudioX with the Apple AirPlay service is now available. And now it will prompt me on the screen with the code. I type here the 7912. All right, let me share now. And here you go. So we have now again the content here on my screen. Let me show you that quickly. Also, I can edit a little bit to show you around. Right. So I want to look at the logo, want to look at the shoes. Again, as you can see, I'm just sharing now here from my iPad, but it can also be your iPhone, of course. Very, very easy. So this will make sure that anybody just passing by the room is able to share in that meeting room. So this is sort of, you can enable that then manually. Now, hopefully that gave you an overview where you can find the multiple camera support and the Apple AirPlay. I think two great additionals in the Studio X G7500 running that native Zoom app. What I think is also an important point is that if you play a video from your iPhone or with your iPad using the AirPlay functionality with the Zoom Room device, it even transfers the audio. So if you play a video on that specific device, no problem. The audio will also be available on the speakers of the Studio X or anything connected to your G7500. So just good to know. I'm really excited about this because I know a lot of people just walk into those rooms and just want to share content. And AirPlay is something that a lot of people also use at home. And so it gives them a very comfortable feeling if they want to share something with their own devices. All right, let's continue because we can take those subjects and dive deeper anytime if you want to. What more do we have? So there's a new application, the Tencent application, which is now also available on the Studio X, X30 and X50. That's very important. So you see it now in the drop-down menu where you have the Zoom app, Teams app. We have also the Tencent app. Now, what is supported with the Tencent? I think that's very important. So the X30 is supported just with a touchscreen or without a touchscreen. We got TC8 supported with that application. The Studio X50 is supported in the dual setup, so dual screen, and one of those screens can also be touch. We got the expansion mic supported and the TC8 at the table. These are the supported configurations today. It's in the China-only language. That's also very important, so specifically for China. Now, what is not supported today? So as you see here, not supported today is G7500, X70, We have no HDMI ingest at the moment, and for example, the Trio integration. And so keep that in mind when you're gonna work with the Tencent meeting application. All right, well, the initial setup, very easy. So if you set it up and you put it in the Tencent application, it will boot up, and what you will see is the QR code. So you need to use your phone or any other device, and here you can register to the service. So probably if you want to if you want to play around with it, I would just say put it in the Tencent application and let me know your experience. Same with the TC8. It will turn into the controller, but you need to punch in here the code to pair it up with the device. But again, let me know your experiences if you're able to play around with this application, which is available now on the X30 and X50. Now, just quickly, let me show you where you can find the Tencent to put it into that application mode. So here you go, you connect to the web interface of your StudioX, you log in there. Probably a lot of people are familiar with this interface. You go here to the general settings, you go to the provider, and of course, here you select the Tencent application. Here you go. So it's just a matter of you save it, the device will reboot, and it will start using that application. Now let's continue, because we got a lot of exciting stuff going on in the 3.11. We got additional support for external DSP USB audio. So we already had support for room control, Extron and Crestron. We added already earlier the Shure integration with the P300, and now we also have integration in the 3.11, got officially support for Biamp and for QsC. And you see specifically the Tessera Forte, the device family, and the Davio device family, and that's very important. Similar with the QsC, we got the QsC Core and different other devices which are tested and are working properly. So these are officially supported now. I can work through the USB-A or USB-C integrate on our devices. Really nice. So specifically looking at the G7500, easily extend into those meeting rooms, and you can build this out to any type and size of meeting rooms. So I think this is really powerful. And these integrations are available, as I said, in the 3.11 now. All right, the other applications, because it's not only Teams and Zoom, but there's other updates, maintenance releases for the different applications. So first off, we got, for example, here BlueJeans. BlueJeans, a really exciting one. They added support now for the dual monitors. There's breakout sessions available, and they got out of meeting wireless screen sharing also available now with the release coming with the 3.11. With GoToMeeting, a room application, we got now the HDMI ingest supported, and we got the dual monitor support. Again, just check out those different websites with those specific versions. Now, what more updates do we have? So we got RingCentral. RingCentral also added the HDMI ingest support, whiteboarding, film strip view, and new reactions. So I would say just check out, if you're using those applications, check them out, and of course, let me know your experiences. Same for Dialpad, there's been a maintenance update, similar for Starleaf, and also the digital signage applications. This is also an application running on StudioX, which had a specific update. I cannot point that out more. Check the release notes where you can find the details on 3.10, 3.11, which applications are supported on which device. There's all the nitty-gritty details. So I will put in the comments also a direct link to the release notes, so you can always get to them very quickly. But yeah, as I said, I always recommend to check it out. This was the 3.11 StudioX update. So for X30, X50, X70 and the G7500. So I hope you enjoyed it again. As usual, if you got any questions, just leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them as good as possible. As I said, we expect a lot of new updates the upcoming period, so I can just say subscribe to my channel and I always keep you updated on the latest and greatest. All right, so thank you for watching for now, and I'm already looking forward to see you in the next video.